Hey there, curious minds, and welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to sift through your fascinating sources, grab those brilliant nuggets of knowledge, and make you well-informed without all the info overload.
That's the goal.
And today, we're taking a really captivating journey, I think, into the world of Japanese urban fantasy. Our mission for this deep dive, we're going to explore the incredibly rich tapestry of the anime Noragami.
Yeah, it's a great one.
And what's really clear from the sources is that this isn't just, another supernatural story. It's pretty much a masterclass in weaving ancient Japanese religious ideas, folklore, into a modern, really compelling narrative.
Definitely.
We're going to unpack how it kind of revitalizes these old myths and makes them feel really relevant for today.
It's amazing, actually, how the creators don't just sprinkle these concepts in, like set dressing.
Right.
They're integrated so deeply, they become the actual engine of the story. It lets the show dig into these timeless themes, memory, identity, human connection, all that heavy stuff.
Okay, so let's dive into how Noragami's supernatural world actually, works. The series builds this meticulous ecosystem, right? Based on old religious concepts. But then it adds its own unique mechanics.
Their own rules.
And to really get the story, you got to understand the main players and how these rules fit together.
Absolutely.
So first up, we've got the kami, the gods. And what's really insightful here is how their actual existence is tied to human memory and faith.
Yeah, that's huge.
If they're forgotten, poof, they just vanish. It really grounds the divine in this very human anxiety about relevance, legacy.
It does, and you see that reflected in the huge pantheon, the Yayorozu no Kami, the 8 million gods idea from Shinto. It's diverse.
Right, you've got Yado, who's a god of calamity, Magatsukami, struggling with his past, trying to find a new purpose.
And then established figures like Bishamonten, a powerful god of fortune.
And Kofugu, the god of poverty, who's just chaotic fun, but kind of turns expectations upside down.
She really does. Each one gives you a different angle on purpose and existence in their world.
And they have this unique immortality too, right? Daigawari, rebirth.
Exactly. Daigawari. If a god, if they have enough worshippers and someone manages to slay them, they don't truly die. They're reborn.
As a child, though, with no memories.
That's the catch. No memories. We see this cycle play out really tragically with Ibisu, and it brings up these deep questions about identity. Can you really escape your past or your nature if you keep coming back?
Heavy stuff. Okay, so next up, the Shinki, the regalia.
Right. Divine weapons, but so much more.
Yeah, our sources show they come from the spirits of humans who died too soon and, unwillingly.
Those who met an unwanted death. A god finds a wandering, uncorrupted spirit, gives it a new name.
And that forges this really powerful bond, doesn't it? It feels like master-servant, but also military and even kind of familial.
It's all those things at once. And they shift, between a human-looking form and their weapon form.
But here's the really wild part, that psychosomatic link.
Oh, yeah. This is central.
The Shinki's negative feelings, envy, greed, lying, whatever it transmits, this spiritual impurity, this yasumi, to their god.
That's right. It shows up as this painful blight. It literally stings their master. It's a massive source of conflict, especially with Yado and Yukin.
Gut-wrenching, honestly.
It really is. It means a god's spiritual health is directly connected to the emotional state of their Shinki. And there's another layer.
Oh.
God's greatest secret. Kami no Higoto. The gods know the Shinki's past life, their human name, everything.
But they can't tell them.
Absolutely forbidden. If a Shinki learned their true name, the trauma would be overwhelming. They'd instantly become an irredeemable Ayakashi.
Wow, so that just hammers home themes of memory, identity, and why sometimes you have to let go of the past, even if it hurts.
Precisely.
And speaking of Ayakashi, that's the third main group, right? The phantoms, the antagonists.
Generally, yeah. They're born from gloom, basically the spiritual crud of humanity's collective negativity.
Jealousy, fear, despair, all that good stuff.
Exactly, and they amplify it. Cause accidents, violence. They're usually invisible to humans.
And only a god Shinki can actually exorcise them.
Which leads to a really key insight. Noragami kind of suggests these Ayakashi aren't just some external evil force invading.
They're more like manifestations of our own inner darkness.
Pretty much. It sets up this fascinating psychosomatic world where spiritual sickness mirrors psychological turmoil. So fighting an Ayakashi isn't just action.
It's like a metaphor for spiritual cleansing, dealing with our collective issues.
You got it. It's about purification, managing that darkness.
Okay, so beyond the beings, there are these different planes of existence too.
The near shore and the far shore.
Near shore. Shigan, that's our world, the mundane human world.
And the far shore, Higan, the ethereal place where gods, spirits, Ayakashi hang out.
And normally humans can't see the far shore folks.
Right.
Unless their kids are near death.
Usually, yeah. And critically, human memories of far shore encounters. They fade. Fast.
Which feeds back into that whole fear the gods have of being forgotten.
Exactly. It keeps them vulnerable.
Which brings us to Hiyori Igi. After her accident, her soul keeps slipping out. She becomes a half-phantom, a Hanyu.
Right. And in that state, when her soul is loose, she can fully perceive the far shore. She becomes this living bridge between the worlds.
So what does she represent then?
Well, what's fascinating is her memory. Unlike most humans, her memory of Yato doesn't fade. It's strong, unwavering, partly because of her condition, partly because of their bond.
So she becomes his lifeline.
Essentially, yes. Her memory is the anchor stopping him from just blinking out of existence. She's not just watching, she's actively sustaining him. It's like this really personal form of faith, relationship over ritual.
Wow. And how do regular humans connect then? Like, how do they hire a god?
Well, through tradition. The 5 yen offering, the go-in.
Right, I remember that. It's the standard price for a god's help in the show.
It is. And the word go-in itself is a homophone, it sounds like. The words for good fortune or fate or connection.
So that little coin symbolizes forging a bond, making a contract.
Exactly. It makes abstract worship feel really concrete and personal, a tangible exchange.
And beyond all these rules, the show just looks and sounds amazing, doesn't it? The design really helps sell this world.
Oh, absolutely. The visual and auditory design are top-notch. Think about the Ayakashi.
Yeah, they're so chaotic and grotesque. Weird, clashing colors, those squelchy sounds. Really unsettling.
Perfect for representing inner darkness, right? Then you contrast that with the Kami and Shinki. They look human-like, relatable.
But with those really intense eyes. Yato's blue eyes, especially.
Right. And the sounds for them Shinki transformations attacks their sharp, clean, metallic, sacred, powerful.
And the music. Takao Iwasaki's score. It blends traditional Japanese instruments with like electronic hip-hop.
Yeah, it creates this perfect ancient meets modern vibe that just fits the whole show's feel, mirrors the story itself.
Okay, now here's where it gets really juicy. The sources make it super clear. Noragami isn't just making this stuff up out of thin air.
Not at all. It's deeply woven into actual Japanese religious traditions. Shinto, Buddhism, specific folklore. It's all in there.
So many characters are basically adaptations of real figures, right?
Direct or conceptual, yeah. Yato, for instance. He seems, based on the Magatsuhi no Kami gods of disaster born from impurities from the underworld, Yomi.
And also Toragami, vengeful curse gods.
Mm-hmm. He really embodies that Shinto duality of the Uramitama, the rough or destructive soul, and the Nigimitama, the gentle, benevolent soul. His whole struggle is about that balance.
Then there's Bishamonten. She comes from a Buddhist deity, Vaishavana.
Right, one of the 4 heavenly kings in Buddhism who got syncretized, kind of blended into Japanese belief as Bishamonten, a god of war, and also one of the 7 lucky gods.
And Tenjin is almost straight out of history books.
Remarkably faithful, based on Shigawara no Michizain, a real scholar from the 9th century. He was exiled unjustly, died, and then disaster struck Kyoto.
So people thought his vengeful spirit, his Henri, was responsible.
Exactly. Which led to him being deified as the god of scholarship to appease him.
Wild. In Kofuku, she's based on the Binbugami, the god of poverty. Yeah. But they're usually depicted as miserable old men, right?
Totally. So making her this cheerful, chaotic young woman is a really fun, creative interpretation. And another key thing is how they use the term Ayakashi. Traditionally, that often meant specific sea spirits, yukai over water.
Oh.
But Noragami broadens it out. It becomes this general term from nasty phantoms, pulling visual ideas maybe from yukai, Mononoke spirits causing illness, and even Buddhist demons like Gaki, the hungry ghosts.
Just to give us some context then, Shinto is animistic, right?
Yeah.
Kamiyas are in everything. Texts like the Kojiki Nihon Shoki from way back, they lay out the stories of the gods.
That's the ancient bedrock, yeah. And yukai, historically, they helped explain the unexplainable disasters, illness. They embodied fears.
And belief in those powerful, angry spirits, the Tatarigami and Onrush, was serious business. Led to building shrines, holding festivals, just to calm them down.
Absolutely. So the big question becomes, how do the creators of Adachitoka choose to adapt these figures? Because they make deliberate changes.
Right, they're not just copying.
Exactly. And those changes usually serve the story and themes and often reflect more modern concerns.
Like with Yato, making the abstract disaster god concept into his personal struggle.
Yeah, it personalizes that Aramitama Nijimatama duality. Redemption becomes his own personal quest, not just a theological idea.
And swapping Vishamantan's gender.
Reframes her completely, makes her this maternal figure. Her grief over losing her Shinki family becomes way more intense, more personal. Themes of guilt, trauma, they hit harder.
And Kofuka being the opposite of the traditional poverty god.
That inversion is brilliant. A cheerful god of poverty, it subverts expectations, suggests destructive forces aren't always evil per se, creates great contrast.
And Ibisu, he's one of the lucky gods originally, but here he's almost corporate, pragmatic.
Very much so. Driven to improve the world, but through sometimes morally gray methods. His whole cycle of death and rebirth adds this philosophical weight you don't really get from the original myths.
So what you're saying is the gods kind of evolve in the story to stay relevant.
Yeah, they end up addressing modern anxieties. Tenjin helps with exam stress. Yado's search for purpose resonates with, feeling lost in the modern world.
Which brings us to how Noragami really integrates all this stuff into the actual plot. It's not just background fluff.
Absolutely not. The rules, the concepts, they drive the story, they shape the characters.
Okay, let's look at an example. The ablution of Yukine in season 1. That was intense.
Oh, definitely.
Yukine's teenage angst, the stealing, lying, it causes that blight, the Yasumi, on Yado because of their link.
Right. Yado's literally dying because of Yukine's actions and feelings.
And the only cure is this super dangerous ritual purification, the ablution or misogi.
Where 3 other Shinki have to form this spiritual prison, force Yukine to confess his sins.
Or he becomes an Ayakashi himself.
Yep.
But if he confesses, he's cleansed.
And what's amazing here is that whole arc, it's basically a dramatization of core Shinto ideas. Kigar's spiritual impurity from sin, that's what Yukine has.
And the ablution is the misogi, the ritual cleansing.
Exactly. A super high-stakes, fictionalized misogi where confessing true repentance is what purifies him. The conflict and resolution depend entirely on these Shinto principles.
Okay, another big one. The Bishamon arc in season 2. That whole conflict stems from her grudge against Yado, right?
Yeah.
For centuries.
Yeah, she believes he just ruthlessly massacred her previous family of Shinki.
But the truth is way more complicated. They were blighted, merging into this monstrous Ayakashi.
And Kazuma, her trusted Shinki, secretly asked Yado to kill them all to save Bishamon's life. A mercy killing, essentially.
And the whole thing gets manipulated by Kugaha, playing on her grief and her, compulsive need to save every spirit she finds.
Right, and if you look at it through that mythological lens, Bishamon's all-consuming grudge, it's acting like a gori.
Like a powerful, vengeful spirit causing disaster.
Pretty much. And the resolution isn't just appeasement through ritual, it's psychological. The curse lifts when the truth comes out, through understanding, forgiveness, accepting painful history. It's a modern take on dealing with that kind of destructive energy.
So the mythology doesn't just drive the plot, it frames the character's personal growth too.
Totally. Yado's whole journey is moving from his Aramitama, calamity god, nature, towards embracing his Nigimitama, fortune god, potential.
With Hiyori and Yukine as his guides, his Mishishuru.
Yeah, he's basically turning a theological concept into his personal struggle for self-reinvention. And Yukine, his journey mirrors Buddhist ideas about suffering, dukkha, and overcoming attachment.
His early problems stem from being attached to his human life he lost.
Right. The ablution forces him to confront that and accept his new reality. And when he eventually becomes a blessed vessel, a Hafore no Utsuwa.
That represents, enlightenment, selfless devotion.
Kind of a spiritual liberation, yeah. He protects Yado out of loyalty, not attachment to his own past. And Hiyori just consistently embodies that ideal Shinto purity and sincerity, the Magokoro.
She's the moral compass, pulling them back to basic human values like friendship, forgiveness, when they get lost in their God problems.
Exactly, she grounds everything.
And these adaptations, they really resonate with modern themes, don't they? The sources print out a few key ones.
Definitely, like memory and the fear of being forgotten, that core rule about gods fading, it's such a powerful metaphor.
For, tradition dying out.
Yeah.
Or just feeling irrelevant personally.
Both, I think. Yado desperately scrawling his number on bathroom walls. That taps into a really universal anxiety about making a mark, about mattering.
And when Hiyori makes him that tiny handcrafted shrine.
That's such a beautiful moment. It suggests maybe true worship today isn't about grand temples, but those personal acts of love, recognition, connection.
there's also the whole nature of good and evil thing. It's not black and white, is it?
Not at all, reflecting that Shinto ambiguity. Yato's a hero, but with a dark past. Kufuku is sweet, but brings disaster. Ayakashi come from human weakness.
So darkness isn't just external, it's intrinsic. Something to be managed, purified, not just destroyed.
Seems to be the idea. And finally, redefining family.
Right. The main trio god, dead spirit, human girl, they form this found family that feels stronger than a lot of the actual families, divine or otherwise, in the show.
And that really clicks with modern audiences, defining family by choice, by emotional bonds.
It's this amazing mix then.
Yeah.
Faithfully using old ideas, but also inventing new things.
Exactly. That blend of faithful adaptation and creative invention is what makes it work so well. It feels authentically Japanese, but you don't need a PhD in mythology to get it.
Like the whole Shinki system, the blight, the ablution, the secret name. It's mostly original, right? But it provides such great organic conflict that ties right into the themes.
It really does.
Yeah.
And you could even argue the story arcs themselves act like modern Enji.
Enji, like the traditional origin stories for shrines and gods.
Yeah. Yato's story is basically an Enji happening in real time. He's actively trying to build his own legend, one worthy of worship, so he can finally get a proper shrine.
So Hiyori building him that tiny shrine is like the first physical proof of his new legend starting.
Precisely. It's the beginning of his engine as a god of fortune. So Noragami isn't just telling stories about gods. It's kind of mimicking the traditional way Japanese stories create and sustain gods.
Wow. Okay, so wrapping up, what's the big takeaway for you, the listener? Noragami really is a masterclass, isn't it? Showing how old myths can be taken apart and rebuilt to talk about really deep modern questions.
It really is. It turns these abstract religious ideas into stuff that actually drives the plot.
Yeah.
And I think this deep dive really shows that Noragami, underneath all the spirits and battles, has this deeply humanistic message. It suggests that maybe, in a world where big religious institutions feel less central,
true meaning, true spirituality is found in personal connection.
That's what it feels like. The existence of a god, or maybe even our own sense of purpose, isn't sustained by dogma, but by simply being remembered, being valued, being connected to someone else.
What a truly powerful and, resonant idea for today. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive in Noragami.
My pleasure.
Now, what stands out to you about how this anime breathes new life into ancient myths? Let us know what you think. We'll see you next time for another journey to the depths of knowledge.